This woman she shouldn't have died. This never should have happened.
Well, just days ago, Renee Good, a U.S. citizen, was shot in the head during an encounter with ICE agents in Minneapolis. Her death has now led to protest all across the country. The Trump administration says the agent was defending himself, saying Good was trying to run him over. But people across the country have gathered in protest all week, saying that multiple videos of the incident show a different narrative. Wave News reporter Meredith Lee was at the protest against ICE in downtown Louisville and brings their reaction.
Protesters gathered at the Belvedere are calling for urgency from the local government and lawmakers to prevent further tragedies at the hands of ICE. It's not the first time protests against ICE have taken to the streets in Louisville this week. The first coming hours after a Minneapolis mom was shot and killed by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. Saturday, hundreds more had the same message.
And 3, agitate.
The purpose of ICE was to arrest people who were criminals, who had a criminal background, and deport them.
On Wednesday, 37-year-old Renee Good was shot after a confrontation with ICE agents. The investigation into her death is ongoing, but the video capturing that fatal encounter has sparked intense national debate. For some, Good's death marks a tipping point in the national conversation, concerned about who is at risk as ICE operations continue.
Whether your car's in the wrong place or not, you shouldn't die for it.
But she's a white person, she's a Christian. These are all things we've identified as kind of protective in our nation. And if someone like that can be shot and killed in their hometown in front of their family members, so too can like everyone else, including myself.
In light of encounters with ICE in cities across the U.S., those crowded around the Belvedere Saturday say they're fearful about where it could happen next.
ICE already is in Louisville. What we haven't seen is the level of involvement as there has been in Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis for sure. I think that it is a situation where if we don't speak up today, who knows what's going to come tomorrow.
One protester, a psychiatric professional, says she's seen its impacts firsthand on children and families.
Who are crying, who are not coming to school, who are missing doctor's appointments literally because they're afraid if they have parents take them to those appointments, their parents will be deported.
The group is now calling on the local government to join in their call and demand ICE leave the city.
Can we see a sense of urgency? Can we see a sense of urgency from our leadership, please? No.
They tell us they'll keep gathering to make their message clear.
We're just going to have to keep going because I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Meredith Lee, Wave News.